What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Breakdown Podcast. Nick Farabaugh here with you guys. We are the day after the Steelers' last preseason game. They've made 11 cuts today, none too big, other than long snapper Jake McQuaid. Great sign if you are Christian Kuntz. He obviously has a fractured sternum, but he's going to play through that by all indications. So seems like Christian Kuntz train on the way up. That's good news. Steelers also released Evan Hall, Logan Woodside, Kyle McMichael, Cam Alexander, Mikey Victor, Doug Nestor, Julian Pearl, Kevin Folsch. So those guys, none of those are surprise cuts. The tough ones like Skylar Thompson, what happens with him, the corner room, what happens there, all of that still off to the side. But I watched some of the tape today. I got the All-22 tape this morning, and I'm going to watch more of it this weekend and continue to try and break this down. But I just want to kind of talk about some takeaways I had from the film, and let's kind of go through that. We kind of recapped some thoughts I had yesterday, but let's talk about kind of brand scheme things. First of all, YA Black. I mean, dude, how is this guy not going to play? He's going to play a lot. What a fun football player YA Black is. He's just so big and powerful. I mean, sometimes if you just know how to use that size and length, because he has elite size and elite length, um, all of that is all you need. It really is. And he has used so well. He has dominated the point of attack in the run game. And the key has been he's not a complete black hole as a pass rusher. In fact, he's been far more than that. The kind of the knock on YA Black coming out of Iowa was the pass rush juice wasn't great. You knew he could be a great nose or four eye. He could do both. He's got crazy mobility for a guy that's almost 6'6" and is 336 pounds. He has such rare physical gifts in that regard. His ability to just push the pocket with a long arm or a bull rush, even though he plays with a high pad level because he's got such great length, he doesn't even have elite burst off the line of scrimmage, but he has elite kind of bend for his size, great lateral agility. Like there's a lot of things to like about YA Black when you break down his game. He's been a significant emerger for this team this preseason, all across all three games. He's played at a high level. So really good to see YA Black ball out like that. Another concern I have, and I have three concerns with this team. Derek Harmon's down with an MCL sprain for about a month. We'll see if that comes in, more towards week two. If he goes on short term IR, returns over the bye, we will see. He has a ton of that's a big range, a month from now, a month of games, who knows what it is, 4 to 6 weeks, is it 3 to 6? So many different injury timelines, and a lot of it is just really related to how he responds more than like what a designated timeline is right now either. You can change timelines. But let's talk about kind of where things stand right now and the three needs I see on this roster. First of all, the biggest need I see on this team is offensive line depth. This team needs to get one, maybe two depth offensive linemen. Calvin Anderson is hurt. I think you're fine with your backup center being Ryan McCollum, but Audrey's Pete has to make this team. He's played too well. He's come on too strong in this preseason. He can play left tackle or left guard. He's on this team to me. He has played up to the standard you asked him to. He's got violent hands. He's not a great mover in space, but he is a powerful player in pass pro and in a phone booth in the run game. So I really like what Andres Peters showed. And so I would like him on the roster. Is Calvin Anderson going to be ready? Who knows? But this team needs some O-line depth. I think Spencer Anderson's had a pretty poor preseason. I get it. He's played with the first team, but if he's your top backup depth-wise, I'm not feeling great. I think Pete's been a better player than him. Granted, again, Pete was playing with the second team, but I do think relative to competition, still, I do believe that Pete had a better preseason. So that's concern number one. Even though the starting O line, I think, has actually shown some real promise. Broderick Jones and Troy Fautano look great. Um, so we'll see where that goes. Second one, obviously wide receiver. I think this team needs another wide receiver, really a specific archetype of wide receiver, because I think there's a lot of similarity outside of DK Metcalf and Ben Skowronek. You've, Sko, who is kind of a versatile blocking type. You have DK, who's obviously your big X, and then you kind of have Calvin Austin, Rome Wilson, Scotty Miller, who I think that's going to be your five on the initial roster, and they kind of do the same thing. Um, there's little nuances that are different. I think Roman's the best blocker. I think Calvin's a little more explosive vertically. I think Scotty's a little more built, actually. He's kind of got a thicker lower half than you would think, and he can really stretch the middle of the field with his speed. I actually think when you watch the tape of Roman and Scotty, is there much of a drop off between them and Calvin Austin? I think that's a real question. Scotty Miller, I think, is a really good player, or at least a solid player, but I don't think they have another big bodied Z. Could a Gabe Davis, if the health checks out, work? Yes. I know everyone wouldn't be enthused by Alan Lazard, but there's a physicality element to this football team that needs to be met in 12 personnel and 13 personnel if you're going to play Jonnu Smith. And having a bigger guy that's not Ben Skowronek is, I think, important enough. And, if you can get a guy like Alec Pierce, who, again, big field stretcher, I understand similar in some ways, but he's a bigger bodied guy that can get his face in the fan. That's something I think this team could use at wide receiver. And the last one, this team needs a backup free safety. They just do. Thornhill was hurt yesterday and didn't play, and it showed. Man, Chuck Clark, I think, is a useful player in space. I think Chuck Clark can be a pretty decent player if you just put him in the box and say, "Hey, go see and tackle." He's got good instincts. He's not going to be someone that has elite instincts to go and chase, which I think also complicates some matters, but I do think he's got good instincts. But the ACL injury and some other issues have sapped some of his speed. This is not a guy that can play in the post safety. He's not a free safety. And Miles Killebrew is going to be your four. So there needs to be a backup free safety option here. It doesn't necessarily need to be, Justin Simmons. There are guys out there, and there are going to be guys that get cut that are good names to look at and say, maybe we should look at that guy and take a swing at him. I just think when you look at it right now and what the Steelers have, they need a guy that can fill in for Thornhill if he gets hurt. And Thornhill has had injuries in his career, calf issues the last 2 years. So yeah, definitely I think should look to what the Steelers need there at free safety. They need another one. I think it's important. Even if Jalen Ramsey is part of the safety room, they need another backup free safety there. Someone to condense that role. It's a big thing I think that this team still needs. So those are the three needs I see just right off the rip from what I watched on film. I also think positively signs. I think one, we talked about the tackles a little bit. Faltano and Broderick playing as well as they did looks really good. Troy Faltano was tested by Trayvon Walker and Hassan Reddick and looked great. 30 pass blocking snaps, zero pressures, zero sacks, zero QB hits, 0, 0, 0, 0 across the board. He was awesome. There's still some things he needs to work on. I still think he's maybe overthinking it a little bit, but he's got great nuance. He looks better than he did last year when he was playing. A lot of good things with Troy Faltano. With Broderick, there's still some issues, right? He's still a little bit of a catcher. He doesn't always put his hands on the guy first and get after him. I'd like to see him get a little more aggressive. He drops his head a little bit, drops his eyes, which allows guys to just kind of olay him in some ways. And the hands get a little wide. But the three things that are so big with him, one, he's got more nuance in his pass sets. He's starting to bring out some subtlety in his hand usage, even though he can get a little wide sometimes. There's subtlety in how he uses his pass sets and mixing them up. Two, the footwork. That's the biggest thing. His footwork looks way better. He is way more comfortable on the left side. He's moving well. He just looks natural moving on that left side. He's getting to his spots. He's not panicking as much. Like, there's still adventurous reps with him in pass pro, but the footwork gives him a higher floor. Last year he was crossing his feet too narrow. He was because he was too narrow, he wasn't kind of absorbing power rushes good. This year, he still is dropping his head a little bit and sometimes playing a little high, but he's able to anchor down because he's got great core strength. And so there's a lot of good things with Broderick that you say, yes, there's there's things there. And then three, just the basic knowing the play, kind of keeping your head in the game, all there. He knows the play. He's been an impact run blocker in a lot of these reps when you watch him on film. Even if sometimes they don't hit, it's not his fault. Sometimes he's really clearing out a lane. And more importantly, the stunt part of it, the blitz recognition, he's got it. So there's three positives there for Broderick. It's gonna be a work in progress. He's not gonna be perfect. You're still gonna have moments where like, oh, Broderick, what are you doing? But I think there are signs that maybe this light's turning on for Broderick Jones, and what a huge development that would be if the Steelers can get him going. And I've talked with people in the organization. They have admitted they did the wrong thing playing Broderick on the right side his first 2 years. He just looks so much better at left tackle. It's not even funny. Another positive I thought was this defensive line rotation behind Harmon. I think Azazi Otomowo, not a guy you hear a lot about. He's explosive. He's got some really nice quickness from a three tech standpoint. He should make the team as a nice depth player, I think. You could cut him, I guess, but I'm not sure I'd want a guy with, physical tools like that, which I think are plus physical tools to try and get him through waivers when I think you can maybe get a guy like Logan Lee potentially through waivers a little easier than a guy like Otomowo. I also do think the Steelers look like they have some real depth to corner. I think that's a really good thing. You look at guys like Corey Trice if he's healthy. You look at Brandon Eccles as the top guy. Um, it really feels like there's some depth to this group and some real kind of okay, if this guy gets hurt, like you're okay. So there's a lot of positives coming out of this. I think their linebacker depth looks great. Malik Harrison, Cole Holcomb looking good. Carson Bruner, Mark Robb having good preseasons. I'd keep Bruner over Mark Robb slightly, but we'll see how that kind of goes about. But overall, the tape was sloppy, of course. But I just kind of want to talk about the bigger things at odds. And I will kind of have a few more thoughts over the weekend. They will practice the next 2 days, so I'll talk about some of those thoughts with you guys. I'll be in the locker room and things like that before cut down day. They may just sporadically cut down over the weekend as well. We'll see how they go about it. All right, folks, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell for more. Thanks for watching.